Something special.
Hey guys, welcome back or welcome to Friends in High Places podcast. Today I have a very special guest, my mother-in-law, aka Ma Dukes, aka Brenda Stevenson.
Hi, Carissa.
Hi.
I'm so excited for you and your podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy you're here and on it. How do you feel about coming on the podcast?
I don't know anything about these things. It's all new to me, but that's okay.
That's okay. It's still new to me too.
Yeah.
We'll do this.
All right. Sounds good.
I've been talking to Ma Dukes a lot about the podcast and my ideas for it, and she's been one of my main supporters and motivators, and I thought, why not have her on the podcast and ask her some questions that maybe you guys want to hear the answers to, that maybe I don't even know the answers to, and yeah, just see what it's like chilling with me and Ma Dukes.
Sounds good.
Yeah, okay, awesome. Well, I guess we'll just jump into a couple questions that I have written down, and we'll just kind of wing it and
All
chat.
right.
Because we're just chilling, and this is what we do.
All
We like
right,
to
sounds
chat.
good, yeah.
Okay, so one question that I feel a lot of the followers and Cole's fans would like to know is how you and Mark met.
We met, actually, I think we met when we were in grade 4. We don't remember a lot about it, but we really got to know each other more when we were in high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
because
And
you
had
guys
friends of friends, and that's how we ended up coming together.
right,
Had
because you guys
mutual friends.
grew up
Yeah.
in the same area, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
He
a little
was
small town.
he was an what they call Air Force brat, and so was I, which
Yeah.
means that our parents were in the forces.
Mm-hmm.
His father was a medic, and my dad was a cook.
So cool. So awesome.
So they were both in the forces, and my
Yeah.
mom worked at the air base every once in a while too. So, but
Yeah.
she wasn't in the Air Force.
Right. So, like, what was it like being a child of a parent in the Air Force?
Well, you get posted all over the world, and you can be, given a posting at any time. So you just never know where you're going to go. In Mark's case, he ended up in, when he was very young, he ended up in Europe. But where his brother was born, but Mark was born in Canada. So
Right.
actually, Mark didn't go to Europe, but Gary was in Europe,
Yeah.
and then they came over here.
Yeah.
And they got to travel quite a bit. In my case, we just stayed. Well, I was born in Manitoba, and then we went to Saskatchewan, and then we went to BC. So we didn't go too far. And then we were supposed to get a posting to Ontario, which we didn't take because my mother was critically ill, and they didn't want to pull us out of all the doctors and then all of her appointments and all the stuff that she needed. So that was great. They were very understanding about that.
Yeah, and that's really awesome because that'd be really difficult and
Oh yeah,
make
for
it
sure.
hard, especially on her with health issues to be traveling and stuff, and then again trying to find the doctors
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was. She was beyond that point, and they just knew it, and we knew it. But
Yeah.
it is what it is, and
Yeah.
it was sad.
Yeah,
very sad.
for
You
sure.
know, when you get to a certain age and you realize you spent most of your life without her, rather than the other way around, right? Because I was 21 when she died.
Yeah.
My brother, pardon me, was only 12, so
Yeah.
he doesn't remember near as much as his older sisters do. But
Of course.
we try to talk about a lot, and tell him what things that we think about, things that he thinks about. So it's a good healing thing.
Yeah, for sure, and share lots of memories. And,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
stuff like that. And so you have 3 siblings.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm the eldest.
Yeah.
And then my sister Linda, my sister Heather, and then my brother, who is 9 years younger than myself, Jim.
Yeah.
And he was the baby and totally adored by his older sisters, and still is.
Yeah.
But because of the circumstances with my mom and everything, we just became very, very close. We still are today.
You guys are. It's awesome.
Absolutely. It's important to have each other.
For
right?
sure, yeah, especially through hard times
Oh, yeah.
like that, and good times too, of course, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you guys have shared a lot of different life times together and spots in life, and
we have, but it's all been great. We see. Actually, coming back to the island. I get to see them more often than I did when I was younger, because I was in Nova Scotia at one time.
Exactly.
They all lived in Alberta except for me. I stayed behind with my younger brother and my dad. Right. So I got to come back again, and now they're all coming back. So it's awesome.
Amazing.
So it's a new stage for all of us, and it's been wonderful.
It's so cool that you guys kind of migrated back to your home.
Exactly. Back home, exactly. And that's how it feels. You know, when you retire and you get to a certain point, it's like, no, time to go back home, you know, and it feels great. And it was the right thing for us to do, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, and it's so cool when we're like driving around town and you tell me like, oh, this is where we used to hang out or play or bike ride. And,
schools we went to. The house I lived in is still standing there.
We drove by it a couple times and you showed me. So cool.
Yeah,
so awesome.
That's where it all was. It's great. It was great. It's nice to be in a little town, I find anyway. You know,
a little more cozy.
You know, more people that, you know, friends that we have, family we have. It's great. It's the place for us to be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Especially since you were in Vancouver, working in Vancouver. And you guys were in the Surrey area. 100%. A little more high pace and busy. And
absolutely.
Kind of a different kind of lifestyle, right?
Yeah, I lived in, we lived in Surrey, but I worked in Kitsilano, so I had a brutal commute.
Every
there and
day.
back. It was awful. I don't miss that.
It's like an hour and a half
each way.
Each way.
So, you know, I mean, I look back at it now and think, oh my goodness, you know, if I was to ever do it again, I would not have the commute in my life, believe me, if at all possible. But when you live on the mainland and you want to buy a home, you have to go where the prices are right. It's just so expensive. We had no other choice. As do many, many people.
For sure.
You know, and still is the case.
Well, even my dad, like he works like almost an hour away from where he lives, right? So same thing. Like it's just kind of what you
just can't afford to do it any other way.
Exactly.
It's hard that way.
And when you were working, you were a seamstress.
Correct. Well,
fashion designer.
Well, not. I worked for a chain of ladies wear stores who are still out there. Serena Fashions, Bellissima is what they're called, and worked there for, oh my goodness, almost 30 years. I think I did hit 30 years actually. I had my own tailor shop on the island before I moved to the mainland when I was younger, so that was I think I did that for about 5 years.
Cool.
And then I closed that, and then I wanted to go to design school in Vancouver, which I did. And I went there and graduated that, and then I got the job at Serena, and then I had another offer for another job at a leather factory, which I was working part-time when I was going to school, and part-time with Bellissima as I was going to school, and then I had to choose which one I was going to pick, right?
That's kind of cool.
So that was
you
nice.
Set yourself up
so it worked out perfectly.
So how long was your schooling?
Only a year. It wasn't very long at all. You know, I mean, you can take the design school route where it's 2, 3, 4 years. Like the designer that I actually worked with at Bellissima went to design school in Paris.
Oh my gosh!
For 4 years and lived there for 4 years. She was absolutely amazing designer.
So cool.
That's we got along really, really well, and I looked after the manufacturing side. So I was like the liaison between the manufacturer and Bellissima, right? To give them the specs they needed, the sizing, the fabrics, buy all the notions, you know, so a whole bunch of different things like that, and had to go and watch the production, make sure they were doing what we wanted done, and then you have to go and you inspect it before it's shipped out, and so on and so forth. So it was what they call private label, which was what a lot of companies are doing and still do. You know, like lots of big companies have their own label. So anyway, that's what I did. So
you had a big part. All of it.
So, and you know, the people I worked for were great. The girls I worked with were fantastic. So, you know, I feel very blessed to say that I really enjoyed my job, and you know, I didn't look at it as a job, right? Because it was perfect. Not many people can say that their full-time job is something that they really love.
For sure, and not only were you doing what you love to do and enjoy to do, you made some really good friends that were kind of like family by the end of it.
Absolutely, they were great, and you know, we still keep in touch.
That's
so
awesome.
Anyway, and then we decided to come back to the island, and Mark's mom and dad were, his mother was ill and dad was having a hard time to deal with her and look after her, you know, because he was 89 himself, or 87 or 8 at that time.
Yeah.
And it was just too much for him. So then we were coming over every weekend kind of thing, right, to help out. And then we just thought, this is crazy, you know, let's just come over here full time and look after mom. And that's what we did. She didn't want to go to a home. She didn't want to have anything to do with that, and she wanted to die at home.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what happened. So when we first started coming over, I'd say it was about a year later that she passed away.
Yeah.
But she passed away on her own terms, and you know, was happy to go the way that she went. So that was awesome.
Yeah, and you were so amazing during that time. It was not an easy time. And
no, it isn't. It isn't. But I had done it before, so it wasn't anything new to me.
So with your own grandma, that's
right,
where you had you were helping her.
When
she
lived with me. And she gave up her place, but not until she was 100 years old, amazingly enough, or maybe 99, something like that, in her 90s anyway. And then she lived with us, and then she ended up going to a home the last 6 months of her life. So it wasn't very long after that, and it wasn't because she was unhealthy, because she was very healthy and very strong, and she was a hard worker. And she just decided, I've had enough, and that's what did it with her, right?
Yeah, and just like
she just wanted to go.
Yeah, and just like Grandma too, right? Yeah. She waited until you guys were there with Papa.
Right, and everything was set up.
Yeah, exactly.
And then at a point where she knew, okay, it's time, I'm gonna go now.
Yeah.
Right. My grandma Rose, who we're talking about now, lived with us, and when I became pregnant with Cole, it just gave her a whole nother sense of life, you know, and she got all excited, and then when he was born, that was a big part of her still sticking around, so to speak, right?
Exactly.
And then so that's what happened there.
So she got to have some time with Cole.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for
and
sure.
That's really amazing.
Oh yeah. And he remembers. That's the best part.
Yeah, exactly.
And my father, he remembers, who was only 3 years old when my dad died. So
but your dad made sure they went on that last fishing trip.
Yeah, they did, exactly.
Yeah,
and it was for good reason, because it was shortly after that he did die. So, you know, he knew that, and you could tell that he knew that, and he was just getting very frail. And even though he was only 67 when he died, my mother was 45 when she died. So both my parents were young.
Yeah, for sure.
My grandma Rose, I talk about, was really my mother's stepmother, who wasn't unfortunately a blood relative. I wish she was, because she had great genetics. But unfortunately, but I mean, it's the only grandma us kids knew, and you know, it didn't matter to us.
Pretty much was.
Yeah, it didn't matter to us whether she was a blood relative or not, right? She's grandma. That's all there was to it. Yeah. And she was she was great. She moved into our house when my mom passed away to help out with the 4 kids, you know, which was really tough on my dad, because my dad was, you know, took it very hard. It wasn't easy for any of us at that point. Of course. And so she was a great help. So especially with my little brother, who she's very, very close to. Yeah. And his daughter actually has her name. Yeah. Courtney Rose. Courtney Rose. That's right. Courtney being the town that he grew up. Well, actually grew up in Comox, but Comox Comox Valley. Yeah. And then Rose for the middle name. Yeah.
Yeah. So sweet.
Yeah, it was.
So awesome.
And she was very, very close to all the kids, but especially Cole and Courtney.
Yeah, which is amazing that she could have that bond.
But she adored all her grandchildren.
Of course.
Yeah. And she had a lot.
Yeah. How many?
Oh gosh.
Don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. I have 6 cousins in one family, and then they all have kids, so you can imagine. I think it was 20-something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think it was 20-something. And a lot of them were in the prairies.
Right. Yeah.
And only one cousin I had, or 2 cousins I had that were in BC. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and so you and Mark, you guys met back kind of in life. When you were, how old were you guys? 30?
Almost. When Mark and I got together?
Got together.
In our 30s, because we were married, let me think for a second. We were married when we were 34, I believe. Right. So, so it would have been around 31
early 30s,
or something like that. Yeah. And both of us wanted to have kids. We had discussed that, right? And then when we did get married, he told me I'd be pregnant in 2 weeks, and I told him he was crazy, and he said I was pregnant in a week.
And then there came Cole.
There came Hercules. Big head and all.
Oh, nuts.
Anyway, God love him. Yeah.
And so Cole is obviously an only child.
Yeah.
But you've said that if you and Mark would have gotten together a little bit earlier and started having kids, you probably would have had
I would think
more.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I became pregnant with Cole, I knew I was pregnant the minute I got pregnant. It sounds crazy, but I just felt different. Because when you're older and after 35 years or 36 years almost, right, of feeling a certain way, you know when things change, right?
For sure.
So I knew I was pregnant. I knew it was a boy. I never even thought about a girl's name.
Wow.
Yeah. And, that was that.
Yeah.
And we just went through it I never got tested to see if it was a girl or a boy. That wasn't a big deal then.
For sure.
Nowadays, it's another story.
People
but
like
in those
to
days,
do that
and
more,
in those days, it was like I was considered an old mother, right?
Yeah.
Now people they have until they're 45 or something. I was like 36 when I had Cole, or 35, one of the two. But anyway, so it was, I knew right away. And the rest is history.
Yeah. And now he's some big rapper that's touring the world, and everyone knows his name and his face, and kind of knows your guys' faces and names. Hey,
it's crazy.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Did you ever think you'd be retiring to become your son's accountant?
No, never. Never. He has professional accountants. I'm just the one that gathers all his accounting for the accountants, but that's okay. Same thing.
Yeah, she does a lot
Right?
A lot behind the scenes.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Sure.
Many things.
She books our plane tickets.
Yeah,
she does
hotels.
Everything. Yes, she takes
Whatever
care of us a
needs
lot.
to be done. Insurance. But anyway, so it's been great. No, I never thought of it in a million years, and neither did my husband. We always knew that there was something special about him. We knew there was something special he would do. Yeah. But we didn't really know what that was until he was a little bit older.
Right.
He wasn't, school was not something that he wanted anything to do with. No matter what we did, we tried absolutely everything that a parent could possibly try. This course, that course, this doctor, that doctor, just trying to figure out what was what. But as it turned out, he didn't want anything to do with it, and here he is today. Yeah. Shocking all of us. Which is a good thing, but anyway, he was just like him. We would joke around because he would go in the school through the front door and out the back door, and that's exactly what both his grandfathers did.
Apparently it runs in the family
it
or
does.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
But
boys. That's okay.
Yeah.
So when it came down to him trying to find what it was that he wanted to do and what it was that he loved, like I spoke earlier about myself, how blessed I felt being able to make a career out of something that I love. Yes. Right? And fortunately he found the same thing, which is a huge blessing.
Yeah, like you are a big reason of his creative side, I would say, because you had a very creative side, maybe in a different way, but being able to, make clothing and designs and stuff like that, that's very creative. And you had sketches, you had all that kind of stuff, right? Cole almost burnt down sketches, but that's okay. We won't talk about
patterns.
That. Patterns, sorry.
He lit them on fire in the basement if anybody's interested. Anyway, he came up to tell us, Mom, the basement's on fire. Thank God he told us.
Little brat.
We're going, sure.
Okay, cool.
Oh my God.
Okay.
And sure enough, it was on fire. We got it out, thank goodness. Him and his buddy. Got a hold of a lighter. But anyway, we all survived.
Which you always had a house full of kids. Even though you only had Cole, his friends were always
probably
coming
a big
over
part of why, was because he was an only child, right? And when you're an only child, I've never been one personally, but I think that his relationship with his friends is even stronger because he doesn't have the siblings, right?
For sure.
So a lot of them are like his brothers, right? Or his sisters, and even his cousins, he's like that. They're like his brothers and sisters too. Yeah, very close. It because of the situation, I know his relationships are very, very special and very important to him.
Yeah, 100%. And it definitely shows. You can tell how much he really cares about his friends and his family. He's definitely a very big-hearted person.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And so what about the first time that you heard Cole doing his whole rapper thing?
Well,
what was that kind of feeling like, I guess? Was it kind of like, what the hell is this kid doing? Was it kind
well, it was, like I've said before, we used to find all these little pieces of paper around the house with all these lyrics written on it that were horrible, horrible lyrics. Like they were really like a horror movie. And we're going, gruesome. Oh my God, what is all this stuff on here? What's wrong? Did we raise a lunatic or what? Anyway, Mark and I were freaking out. Then we find out later that he was learning how to rap and how to write using other people's lyrics. Thank God, other people's lyrics.
Make that a big point right there. Other people's.
Yeah, exactly. So we found that out later, and then then it made all kinds of sense after that. But with his rapping, we just, how can I put it? When he got his face slashed, like before that, he was looking, into recording and writing and doing all these things, which was great. I mean, we wanted to support him to find something that he loved, and that was the trick with Cole or a lot of kids. They fall through the cracks of their schooling. They don't. They aren't like the other kids. They don't fit in a way that the school wants you to fit in.
Right.
So it was really difficult, you know.
For sure. And
it affects their self-esteem. And, it was time he had to find something that he liked, that was under his terms, not somebody else's.
Exactly.
And that's what he found.
So
right?
You can't push things on Cole.
Right.
That's
not at all. You never
And a
could.
lot of people you can't push things on, but Cole's definitely one of the type of people who just, you can't force him to do something.
No.
If it comes to him naturally, then...
Yeah. But one thing about him is he's very instinctively aware of himself. Like he knows himself very well at a very young age, which really always amazed me that he had that ability, because that's really something that can take a lifetime for some people to know and to understand. He always knew, and I trusted that. I trusted that in him to know what he needed to do, to know what direction he needed to take, and he just went full force on it, which was great. And Mark and I support him 100%. We didn't know much about rap, but anyway, we supported him, and he did very well and is doing very well, and we're very, very proud of him.
Well, and I think that's one thing that really was different with the way you guys parented Cole, was that you guys trusted that he knew what he wanted to do. Yeah. A lot of parents get very overprotective or almost don't trust their children and try and tell their children what they need to do, or forcing them to go to school if they don't want to go to school, forcing them to do certain things if they don't want to do it, then they're going to rebel, right? Even though he was getting in some shithead things when he was younger, he still, wouldn't be the person he is today if you guys didn't have that trust within him and support him, of course, right? But I think that's one thing about your guys' parenting that I definitely look up to is trusting your child and trusting that they know, what they want to do. Of course, you can't give your child the full reins of, but they still have rules, and Cole did have rules too, but even though if he didn't follow them sometimes, that's a different story. But you guys still had the parenting role, but you always trusted him.
In what he chose, absolutely. And it wouldn't have mattered what it was. If it was something that he believed in and something that he wanted to do, that's all we were hoping and praying for, because we knew that the other things are never going to work out. Right. We knew the schooling wasn't going to be a go. Right. We finally gave up on that. Right. But it was really him making that choice. Of course. Not so much us, but we supported him. Like I said, we believed in his choices. We believed in what he wanted to do, that he would find it. Because he's a very intelligent person. He's a very big-hearted person, like you say. And we just knew that he would find it. Right. Whatever that was. Of course. And as it turns out, it's this.
The music. Yeah. Well, and you guys used to take him to recording studios.
Oh, yeah.
till wee hours in the morning,
absolutely.
waiting in the car down the block for him while he went in and did his thing. You guys gave your vehicle to him when he first started touring with his friends.
We
and
did
all that kind of stuff. And you guys have really just been his day one since day one. You guys have honestly really helped him. And I don't think a lot of parents would do that out there, honestly. I don't think a lot of parents would go out and stay up until 4 in the morning while their son's in a studio session, you know, like a lot of parents would have been like, you're not doing that, you're going to bed, we got to go to work. But you guys just believed in him so much, which is so amazing. And your guys' relationship, I mean, has always been so like clear to me since day one of me being around how close you guys are. Like I call you guys the Three Musketeers because you guys really are. Like
that's
you
great.
know, it's an amazing relationship that you guys have and connection that you guys have, and you can feel it when you're with you guys. You know, like it's,
that's great.
It's an incredible relationship. So,
but with him, he could either go right or he could go left. And if he was going the right road, we were there 100%. He could have went the other way
for sure.
And we were worried he would go the other way. And that's why we went over the top. Because we would have lost him, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, like you said, you knew that.
And thank God he knew himself enough, like I spoke of earlier, to be able to go the right direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And so what about the night of his stabbing? I know everyone's heard Cole's version, but I don't think many have heard yours. So
probably not. Well, we were in bed. I believe it was probably maybe around 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, we get a phone call. The phone was ringing. We thought, oh God, who knows who that is, and sort of ignored it. And then it kept ringing, got up, answered the phone, and it was one of his friends who we knew, and saying, you got to get down to the corner of blah 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 and blah blah blah. I can't even remember the names. Cole's in trouble. You need to get here right now. So we just jumped out of bed as fast as we could. You know, took the car and get outside and find out it's snowing. It never snows, and it snows the night this happens, but it never snows hardly. So anyway, we're going, oh okay. Anyway, so we jump in the car. It's about 2 blocks away, maybe 3 blocks away. And we see all the flashing lights and the ambulance and blood all over the bloody place, especially with the snow. Of course. Everything was red, and it was like, oh my God, what happened?
Like a legit murder scene.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
For sure.
And then first thing, of course, I want to do is see my son, right? So I go directly to the back door of the ambulance, and the lady stops me and says, no, I'm sorry, you can't see him. He's in shock right now.
Oh my gosh.
I said, well, what's wrong? I can't talk to you right now about that. She says, we got to get him to Royal Columbian Hospital. I said, okay, fine. So I'm following her, not knowing what happened.
Exactly.
Not knowing what was going on. He didn't know if he was dead or alive
or
what.
Oh my gosh.
So, and the snow to top it all off. It's like, and I had never driven to Royal Columbian Hospital, so I was a little nervous about how to get there. And so I kept real tight with the ambulance so I didn't lose sight of them.
Of course.
And then I had 2 hysterical girls in the backseat.
Yes, the girls,
absolutely hysterical.
The girls that were with Cole and his friend that night when it happened.
Right.
Their girlfriends, yes.
Correct.
Who
and
had witnessed it.
Yes, and they were hysterical, got some information from them, but we didn't know what the extent of the machete, what it had done and what damage it had done. So off we go to the hospital, finally get to the hospital. Felt like it took us days only because, you know, I'm so anxious to try to see what's going on. Yeah. And then he's in the hospital room. Before they wouldn't let us in until he was settled in his room and all this stuff. I said, okay, fine. And then they finally let us in. And when we walked in, his face was literally hanging. Absolutely. Like his, I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah. Anyway, with deep, you know, like 3-4 inch. No, I guess your face isn't that thick, but anyway, a couple inches thick. Oh yeah, you could see right through it. Yeah, right. The bridge on his nose, his whole nose was falling off to one side, right? And then he goes, "What happened, Mom? What happened?" I says, "Well, you've been in an accident, right? Somebody tried to hit you with a baseball bat and macheted your face." it's going to be okay. They want you to be at this hospital because it has the best plastic surgeon, you know, blah, blah. How's it look? Oh no, it's good. You're going to be fine. Everything's
okay.
fine. Like I just didn't let him know for a minute that I was terrified.
Of course.
Right? And it's like, no, it's okay. It's good. They got to come in now and they got to give you freezing. And of course they have to go right into the cuts, right? Deep with all these different needles, right? And I just held his hand and he did really, really awesome. So, okay, now we can't, and then they didn't want to close him up until the next morning. So
oh my gosh,
right? So, you know, I could tell he wanted to touch and he wanted to see, but anyway, he managed to get through the night. Of course, they gave him.
Did you even sleep that night?
Oh no, of course not. I stayed in the room though with them.
Yeah, of course.
And then so they wouldn't let him touch his face or anything. And he was they drugged him up anyway, so he was fine. So he just basically slept. So then the next day they put him in and the plastic surgeon arrives and then they sewed him all up. So
how much longer after it happened did the plastic surgeon get there?
About, I'd say 24 to 36 hours, something like
wow.
that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it wasn't right away by any means.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that was why. And then the other fella that was with him also got hurt, so it wasn't just Cole. Like he got stabbed in his shoulder. I think he got it in the face too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jordan's his name. Yeah, and he went to Surrey Hospital, which was really close to our house.
Okay.
Right, but we had to go to the other one because of the plastic surgeon. So anyway, it all worked out fine. Hundreds and hundreds of stitches. You know, it took a while, but anyway. And then after that, he pretty much smartened up.
Yeah, exactly. And really
decided this is what I wanted to do, and it was a true blessing. Yeah, in disguise, even though it's a horrible situation.
Of course, yeah.
And I still feel bad for him today. You know, nobody should have to go through that. It was
no,
a
it's
horrible,
like something out of a
thing.
movie.
It
like
was.
When Cole told me for the first time,
crazy.
I was like, that can't be true. That doesn't happen anywhere. You know, that's just something horrible. You see on CSI.
And like, why would anybody do that?
Of course,
and they never found out who did it.
No.
You know, and they just said, oh, well, we're going to drop the case. And, right, we really didn't have much choice.
It's so hard because there's so much gang and stuff in Surrey, right? Huge. That, like, it's, you just don't know. You don't know if it was a gang. Yeah. Cole's pretty convinced it was a gang initiation thing, but who knows, right?
Exactly.
Like, you just...
So after that, then we gave up our master bedroom and our master bathroom and moved into the other bedroom so that he could have that room for his recording and have his friends in the house so they weren't on the street.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And that's where he started doing all his music. That's where it all began. And, you know, he used to be with his friends up most of the night, you know, and we'd find bodies all over the place, like Mark says, wake up in the morning to, exactly. Oh my God. Anyway, but at least he was home. We knew he was safe.
Exactly.
And, you know, thank God for that.
Yeah.
And I just feel bad for a lot of his friends because a lot of his friends didn't have parents, period, that were even around. You know, some of them had drug addicted parents. Some of them didn't even know who their parents were. It was sad and terrible, and you know, they're still struggling to this day. Yeah, and sure. Which is so unfortunate.
But very lucky that they had, you know, a friend like Cole who had parents like you guys who were a safe house, really, at the end of the day for all of them. Not only Cole, but for everyone.
They knew they could come and they could get a meal and they'd be okay, you know, and if they needed to stay the night, there you go.
Yeah.
Right? So
front door was always open.
Oh, yeah.
Beds were always there, and or the floor if that's what
whatever. Yeah, whatever. One of the two, or one or the other. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, it was, you know, it's a pretty scary thing. We didn't want to see, you know, things turn into even worse. We were so lucky that he didn't die from it, that he didn't lose his sight. It was so close to his eye. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so the whole nose the bridge of the nose was completely gone and the nose was hanging. It was horrible, but anyway, he got through it and he did very, very well with the stitches and everything. I was really proud of him. Yeah, and so that's kind of where... I guess not where his mental health struggle started, but where it got worse. Yeah, and so you guys kind of had to witness that firsthand of him going into major panic attacks, major PTSD, major depression, and you know, which kind of led to him leaning towards alcohol and stuff like that. And so I can't even imagine how that would be for parents to see him to be so scared to even leave the house, even let's say just to go for a walk down the street or something, right? It took a long time, but you know, and because of like you say, the anxiety, the stress, all that, he didn't want to be in that house anymore.
Right.
And because he didn't want to be in that house, we ended up renting our house and moving to Coquitlam.
Okay, yeah.
So we were in an apartment there because we were renting. We weren't going to buy. We rented our house out.
Right.
So, it was taken care of. And for a year almost, he hardly went out at all, exactly what you said, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to watch.
Of course.
And, I know he still struggles with it today. And it's still
for
hard.
For sure.
To watch.
Yeah, of course.
Whether it was back then or whether it's now. It's not easy to watch anybody go through any of those things. Never mind your own child, but anybody.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
You can see it in their face. The depression. You can see it in their eyes.
Yeah.
And it just breaks my heart.
And when it comes to mental health, it's so hard because there's nothing you can do.
No.
Not nothing. I mean, of course, you guys were always there to talk
support
with him or to
or
support
whatever.
him or whatever. But there's nothing you can say that's going to take away that anxiety, that depression.
No. That's right.
And that's kind of one of the hardest things of being somebody who cares for somebody with mental health, whether it's your son, your boyfriend, your brother, whatever, right? And so that's pretty crazy and hard for you guys too.
But at that time, a few months later, I think that's when he started to talk to you. And that perked him right up and brought him back to life, I might say. For sure, which was great.
So here I pop up and Ma Dukes all of a sudden starts hearing about this Alberta girl
that's
chatting up her son.
Yeah, that's all right. I was glad to hear it, actually. I was very happy for him, for both of you. So it worked out really well. We were shocked when he came to me and said, I'm moving out, and we thought, really? We thought he would be one of those kids that would be at home forever. Right?
Yeah, for
like
sure.
We were truly shocked.
For sure. I bet. Well, again, you guys are the Three Musketeers. So, like, really.
Not shocked that he was moving to not because it was Alberta, but just because we thought he would be living at home for years.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, no. And
so I got Cole out of Mom and Dad's house, and all of a sudden he's living in a new province away from Mom and Dad.
Yeah, that's right. Which was fine. It worked out good,
But so what, were you kind of nervous when he moved out here? Because, I mean, Cole and I had been talking for about 6 months. And then he came to Alberta on tour, and we met in person.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, we are boyfriend and girlfriend. And very shortly after, he was moving in with me.
Yeah,
so
exactly. It was
happened
very quick.
really fast. Yeah.
But I knew you had been talking for a long time. I hadn't met you at that point.
No.
Right. And I knew he was moving to Alberta, but whether you guys, I can't even remember, how long was it, like 6 months or something that you talked?
Yeah, before we started dating. And
then the rest is history, really. You moved out there. I wasn't nervous
because you just
I was glad that he found someone. I was glad how it worked out because he was going through a really hard time. Yeah. It was a blessing, and you're still a blessing.
Just like you're a blessing in my life.
That's sweet.
It's the truth. It is the truth.
Hey.
I thank the higher power for Ma Dukes every single day. That's
Thank
for
you,
sure.
sweetheart. You're a dear.
It's the truth. She's taught me a lot. She's helped us with a lot, and I don't know, it's just you are somebody that I aspire to be as I get older, and
thank you, Carissa.
I just definitely love you a lot. And
love you too. We don't want to get all teary-eyed here.
Teary here. Sorry.
That's okay. It's okay.
But yeah, so,
I know he's in good hands. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Seriously, so that's good. It's a great.
You kind of just trust the both of us.
Well,
I guess.
for sure.
Like you said earlier, you put your trust in him as a
person
and
to make the right decisions.
Same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I met you and Mark.
Yeah.
What was it, about a month or two later?
Something like that. Yeah, I remember picking you up in the back seat of our car, and we were laughing and giggling,
my gosh.
and we hit it off right away. All of us.
Well, we first met on FaceTime.
Yeah,
and I remember
that's right.
Cole and I were laying in our bedroom, and I was kind of laying on his chest, and then Ma Dukes comes in and lays on Mark's chest, and we're all chatting on FaceTime, and we were all
Yeah,
talking
it
and
was
met
great.
that way.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
shortly after, we came to BC.
That's right. Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, it was good. We
I was
had
so
fun.
nervous. I was like, I don't know what they're gonna be like. How do I gotta act? You know, that girlfriend that's careful
Yeah.
what you say, blah blah blah,
No,
whatever.
you didn't have
As soon
to
as
worry
we get in
about
the
it.
car, I hear Cole dropping F-bombs, saying this, saying that. Mark and Brenda laughing, joking with him. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna fit in with them so much.
Yeah,
And
that's
it just
good.
was like an instant thing.
Bond,
Just like
yeah,
an instant
yeah,
bond,
yeah.
instant
It was
connection.
awesome,
Yeah, it was
awesome.
so
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And then Mauduk smoked weed with me for the first time. What's
Oh
up?
my God. I just got the look in her eye when she looks at me and says, "You want to?" Right? And I go, "I don't know." And then she just a look in her eye like a puppy dog.
Yeah.
I couldn't say no.
Come on, Mauduk, please.
Couldn't say no.
So I got to smoke weed
Yeah.
with Mauduk
Yeah.
for the first time at
There you
how
go.
old?
Oh my God!
You were what?
I didn't even do it when I was a kid.
Yeah, how old were you? What, 60 something?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 60 something.
I'm
Mauduk
63
was.
now, so yeah.
Yeah, that you would have been. Oh
Yeah.
man, you would have we would have been 50 something.
Well, maybe then. Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, but
still, you were
Yeah.
older. And
You know, I never did it as a kid or anything like that, as a teenager or none of that kind of stuff. But I really believe in it now because it has a lot of good things about it. You know, like so many elderly people are using it as painkillers. So many people are using it for anxiety. They're using it for all these
So
great
many medical
things, you know?
reasons, yeah.
So this is what brought me into it in the first place, thinking, you know what, it's a good thing.
Yeah, never, because Cole
Yeah.
used to smoke weed when he was
Oh, yeah,
younger, and she
yeah,
never
yeah. No.
got mad or
No,
judged
no,
him for
yeah.
that or anything like that. She wasn't one of those parents that was like, weed's a gateway drug, you're not allowed to do it,
Yeah,
blah, 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 blah,
no.
blah.
I
Nothing
never
like that.
thought that it
No.
was either, but
No.
you know, he doesn't even hardly do it now.
No, and he didn't. He didn't
for
even
a
smoke
long
weed
time,
with Mauduk.
yeah.
I did for the
No,
first
yeah,
time.
he doesn't anymore at all. But I mean,
Yeah.
at that time, with what he was going through, you know, I think it might have helped him.
Of course.
right? You
Oh,
know,
for
with
sure.
all his mental health issues.
Of course. Yeah.
And you know, he needed to something, I guess. But
And his writing process too. Like I feel like back then that helped a lot with his writing process,
Oh,
with the
for
music
sure.
stuff and everything like
Yeah.
that too, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but anyways, I'm just honored to say that I got to smoke weed with Mauduk for the first time, and she may still continue to blaze with me here and there. I don't know,
Oh, we'll
maybe. We'll keep that as a little
Yeah,
thing. You guys can
exactly.
decide if it's the truth
Yeah.
or not.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's all good.
Yeah, so now we're one big happy family, and
Yeah.
Mauduk continues to be our savior all the time. She always
Oh,
helps
you're
me,
sweet.
always helps Cole, and
Yeah.
she comes along for the journey sometimes. She's been with us on tour before, which was really cool. She
Yeah.
came to Nashville and joined with
That
us
was
for
fun.
a few days. Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing
Yeah, we
that.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
One thing I want to ask you is if you could give advice to parents who have a child who is struggling with mental health. I know nobody really has it figured out, and like we
No.
mentioned earlier, there isn't really anything you can do,
No.
but if you could give a little bit of some kind of advice if there's a parent out there who's just like starting to
Yeah,
begin
yeah,
dealing with it,
I would
figuring
just
it out.
I would just say don't judge.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's different. Every case is different. You know, you've got to, like I said, trust in the person and trust in your child, to you know, and be there for them so they can find the right way to go.
Of course.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, he still struggles with these issues, and he's going to probably for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least he knows he's got somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Right. If he needs anything at all, so be there for them and don't judge.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
good little tip of advice
Yeah,
to give for sure,
exactly.
because
Yeah.
like I said, I feel like the way you guys did your parenting and continue to do your supporting, it just really helps. You know,
Yeah.
Cole always knows that he has his parents
Yeah.
and his family,
Yeah.
and that's one big thing, and that's one like thing that I definitely hold close to my heart, is that your guys' family connection is so similar to like my family
I was just
connection.
gonna say you've
you
got
know?
the same support.
Yeah,
That's
like
exactly.
and that's one thing that I'm so grateful for, because you know, a lot of people out there don't have the easiest time with their in-laws and connecting with their
That's for sure. That's true.
their
Yeah.
significant other's family, and I feel like that's something that I'm so blessed and grateful for, is that your guys' family, your side, Mark's side.
Yep.
I just feel like I belong. And
Yeah,
I'm
and
part of it.
And you do.
Yeah, like I just feel
and
like...
I mean, even with your parents and with your family, we've met them all. We all get along. It's great. 100%. One big happy family. Except for the fact that I'm the same age as your grandmother, not your mother.
Hey, I had teen parents, so you and my mom were like on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Mom had kids too early. You had kids maybe a little later.
It's crazy to think that, eh?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. I couldn't believe it when she told me. I said, how old's your grandmother? Oh, just the same age as me. Wow.
And Ma Dukes plays with my grandma.
I did.
What's up? It was awesome.
One big happy family.
So great. Yeah. I can't wait till all sides of all of our families can meet.
After this COVID thing, it sounds good. It would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would be so great. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'm very grateful for
Thank you, dear.
All of you.
Well, you're a blessing to all of us.
We're getting all 10 years.
Yeah, we are. Exactly.
Well, another kind of little question I had, I'm not really asking all the ones because you're kind of answering them. They're all kind of segueing together, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But what's one thing that has surprised you in all of Cole's success?
What has surprised me? Well, the ability to know himself like he does, number one. Number two, his writing ability. To think that someone that struggled in school and never participated in a way some kids do.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
How can this person have the ability to write like he writes? And obviously it's instinct.
For sure.
Like I said earlier, and my husband played a bit with writing, so maybe he gets it from his father. Yeah. I don't know, but that's always surprised us. Yeah. How well he is as a writer. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I believe that. I was actually talking about this. Can't remember with who not too long ago about like Cole's vocabulary. Yeah. And how I think it was actually my dad. Yeah, it was my dad, and just like how amazing it is. And not saying that because he didn't go to school, he shouldn't be smart. No. But just like some words he'll say, I'll be like, I gotta Google that. What does that even mean? You know, and it's just like very shocking. It's amazing. It really is. It is. Yeah. It's so awesome.
It's and then, like he just knows.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like he's got a little dictionary up there and a thesaurus or something.
Yeah, exactly. And he's surprised us all with that for sure. He surprises us all with a lot of things actually. Yes. He just has that thing about him that I don't even know what we could call it. Yeah. But
must be like a gift.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it's a gift, but like,
he'll do something or say something that just blows you away. And it's like, where did that come from? Or his ability to talk to people. Yeah. You know, like it's just like, wow.
Like Mark would say, he can wrap anyone around his finger. That's for sure.
But he knows, he's very, very socially, what's the word? I don't even know. He's just, he has an ability like no other.
No, for sure. I agree. And that's actually like something I've thought about before too. Like if Cole and I, whether it's we have company or let's say we go to, we don't really go to parties, but if we were like at a party and I was kind of feeling a little antisocial that day, I always love having Cole with me because he's so good with like carrying on conversation and chatting people up where I can just be like, yep, and agree along with what he's saying and smile and be like, oh, thank you, because I just like don't even have the brain to talk right now, sometimes that's just, and he's so good, like his social skills are beyond many people's, right? Like he just,
it's
whether
crazy.
it's with a fan, with a friend, with an interviewer, either way, he's always just like, he's so well spoken.
And very well spoken, very relaxed, honest.
Yeah, exactly.
I think honesty is a big thing in his music. Yeah. Like not too many people would admit the things that he admits in his music, but through it all, he's able to help other people, and that's just, you cannot ask for anything better than that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. One of his best qualities is how honest he is. Yeah. And his big heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his tendiness, which he gets from Ma Dukes. He's a big tender bear because of Ma Dukes, and I love it.
He does. He is. Yeah, for sure.
Well, what else was I thinking about asking you? You answered a lot of these questions that I kind of had jotted down just by us having conversation, which is amazing.
No, that's great.
One thing that Ma Dukes and I are very similar in, but she is actually a lot more educated on, I'd say, is like spirituality. That's one thing that you are a big believer in numerology.
Yeah, well,
and it's really
just
cool.
Different things, not just that.
Yeah, not just, but
just
you are
the
definitely
spiritual side of life for sure.
Yeah, you're definitely. Yeah. So when do you think in your life you kind of like started that journey? When did was there something that happened that kind of made you? I don't know.
I think it was because I had a group of friends that were very much like that and still are, and I still keep in touch with. So I think that was probably a big part of it. I think Cole also has a very spiritual side.
100%. Yeah. Yes.
You know, and the same thing as what we're talking about. Yeah. It's not just me by any means. And maybe he got that from me. I don't know. Who knows? I think so. But it was just I was a teenager, I think. Mm-hmm. Maybe in my 20s. Yeah.
But still
something like that.
Pretty young you did. Yeah.
You know, I like reading horoscopes, like numerology. I like, just reading into things that have a different perspective than what, most people look at things like.
For sure.
It gives you an insight. It gives you an understanding. Right?
Yeah. Ma Dukes always sends us our horoscopes, and she definitely helps us when she knows, because I'm a moon child, and am I a sensitive one?
Yeah, and so am I, right? We're both water signs.
Yeah, and so she always gives me a heads up. It's gonna be a rough one, girl. So keep your
head
up and
exactly.
Stay positive and. Yeah, but it's one thing that I love because I get to learn a lot from you. You always are teaching me
something.
Things
that's good. That's what it's all about. Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Yeah, that's great. Good to
hear. I'm going to ask you one more thing.
Okay, no problem.
If you could go back and you could tell yourself something when you were younger, what would you tell yourself?
You mean something I've learned in older age and could bring back to my youth? Is that what you mean?
Sure.
Oh boy, probably one day at a time.
Yeah,
you know,
just take it one day.
Exactly. One day at a time.
No, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. So you wouldn't be able to tell yourself how everything goes out because... And
that you'll get through it.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter how hard something is, there's always tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's always a brighter side to everything, right? And not to get so caught up in the negative and try to keep a more positive attitude. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. That's great.
Because it's easy to get caught up in the negative.
Of course, 100%.
Especially in this day and age.
Yes, exactly. All the craziness that goes on and
exactly.
Technology also kind of makes it a little bit harder too with social media and stuff, right? So
one day at a time. There's always a better day ahead.
Yeah.
Right? And things happen for reasons.
Yes. Right? We are firm believers of everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think my son has been put on this earth to do as much good as he can for other people. I think that's what the big lesson is for him.
Yeah, I agree.
And that I remember... I don't know if your fans would know who Joe Bonamassa is. He's a guitar player, very, very good one. My husband and I watched his documentary, and he's very close to his parents as well.
Yeah.
And they're with him a lot, and like she says, he belongs to the world, and that's exactly how we feel.
That's amazing. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to end it on that because that was the best note to ever end it on. That was awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming out on the podcast, Ma Dukes.
Thank you.
I love you so much.
And good luck, sweetie.
Thank you so much.
All right, love you too.
Love you. Bye, guys.